right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Clienteling 101 series. I'm your host, Alexis Doolin. I'm a customer success manager here at BSPK, and today's topic is going to be how to motivate your sales team. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Jeff. Jeff Ellis is the Vice President of Business Development and Sales here at BSPK in the Americas. Throughout his career, Jeff has been a senior leader in the luxury goods industry, working for brands like Hermes, Gucci, and most recently, Tiffany. So welcome, Jeff. We are looking forward to answering any questions that you guys might have, but we please ask you to go ahead and keep yourself on mute. And at the end, we'll give time for you to drop any questions in the chat box and we'll review them. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, Jeff, what are some advantages of keeping your team motivated?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great question. There was a quote. I'm not sure exactly who the author was, but it's one of my favorite quotes about motivation. And it's the customer's experience is only as good as the employee experience. And I think that's really powerful because when you treat your team well, you're going to have a better client experience. You're going to have better company culture. Which means that you're going to have better retention rates and ultimately increase productivity. So I think that keeping your team motivated, keeping them engaged is really imperative to all metrics that you're looking to measure. Any performance indicator for your business is going to thrive when your team is motivated, when they're energized, and when they're excited to be at work.
Absolutely. A team that's not motivated, is not going to get much work done anyways. So
Agreed.
All right. What role does culture play in motivating your team?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think at the corporate level, people, when they go into the office, they're coming into contact with many different levels of leadership. They're interacting with lots of different people in the company. But I think at the store level, in a lot of ways, they're kind of removed from that, that communication with many departments within the company. So I think in the store leadership is really almost solely responsible for establishing the culture of the company at the store level. I really think that when there is positive culture, when people feel seen and feel part of the company, and they feel as that their voice and ideas matter. They're going to be more inclined to put their best foot forward when they come to work. They're going to get a better result because they feel pride in the work that they're doing. I really think that it's up to store leadership to make sure that they're promoting an environment that is collaborative, where they're asking for ideas and soliciting feedback, making sure that everybody feels encouraged, and providing great training. I think that's an area where I think a lot of companies have opportunity. I think that when you provide great training to your team and you promote a culture of excellence and constant learning, I think that's really going to help with the culture as well. And I think also celebration. I think when I talk about motivation, when I was at the retail level and speaking with my team and in trying to establish that culture, celebration was a huge part of our culture. I think back to like my time at Hermes, and there's one person in particular on my team, actually, who's on the call today, who just did such a great job of helping me and my team to celebrate and to just make sure that we acknowledge those milestones and those accomplishments. And I think when you can facilitate an environment that is collaborative, that is encouraging, and celebrates everybody, I think that you're really going to have a great culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to have a positive environment to facilitate a strong team, and having a culture at your company that your workers can be proud to be part of.
Absolutely, agreed.
Great. Okay, well, along with that, how can celebration impact team morale and motivation?
Sure. Well, I think it is absolutely imperative to everything that we do at the retail level. Um, I mean, would you want to work for a company that recognizes you for a job well done? I certainly would.
Absolutely.
I feel like I do. But I think that, everybody likes to be seen and likes to be acknowledged when they've done something well. And I think it's really important to acknowledge those accomplishments. So, giving shout outs during your morning meeting, I think is a great way um, to help start that celebration process, right? You can go through all of the operational things that you need to, but look at your sales for the previous day and see what amazing sales took place. Were there any transactions where maybe there were a lot of units, or maybe a really big sale, or maybe it was something more qualitative. Maybe when you were the manager on duty, maybe you observed that somebody just provided a really exceptional experience, and you could tell that they really connected and that the customer just had a great time shopping. Those are the sorts of things that I think are really worthwhile to celebrate, because when you share those things with the rest of your team, they're going to say, well, oh, that's great. Maybe they didn't even know that that transaction took place or that relationship was established on the floor. And I think it really helps to inspire other people on the team to strive for those same sorts of connections and to strive to create those same sorts of exceptional experiences.
Yeah.
For me, I always loved to throw parties when I was a store director. I would always take advantage of any opportunity to celebrate. So, when we made our month, or if we, just had a really great day, I'd throw a little party, order some food. My team and myself are always motivated by food. So, spend $50 on pizza and have a pizza party. It really goes a long way to make people feel special and make them feel appreciated. Ultimately, I think it's important to figure out how your team likes to celebrate. I think everybody likes to celebrate differently, and make sure that you reward them when they do a good job. One of my favorite celebration stories was at one of my previous employers. I had a selling supervisor who worked for me. Her name was Tao, and she would throw these just amazing themed parties on everybody's birthday. Every time that we had a birthday in the store, we would all kind of get together as a team, and we'd think about, okay, well, what's the theme going to be for this person? And it'd always be silly things. Sometimes it would be cats. Maybe another time it would be The Walking Dead or Hello Kitty, or just something silly. But we would always throw everybody a birthday party. It'd always be a surprise on the day that they came in, and it got the team working together and collaborating, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And and on the surface it looked really silly, but it really had a big purpose behind it, because it got everybody working together, and it was fun. We enjoyed doing it. And I think ultimately when people feel good, I think they do good work. So, I think keeping the work environment fun is important. And, we certainly are doing important work. All the retail teams are, they're always stretched thin. They're always working on a million things at once. And I have great admiration for them. But I think also at the same time, I think work should be fun. So I think finding a way to make it fun, and ultimately, I think if you're in the business of fashion or jewelry, it's exciting. It should be fun. It's fun for the customer, so should make it fun for the employees also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can all agree, we're a little bit more motivated and want to work harder when even our small victories are recognized. So it makes everybody feel good.
Definitely.
And like what you said, getting to celebrate as a team, it just gives you more of an opportunity to get to know your team members better, either as associate to associate or as a manager to associate level.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so how important is goal setting?
Well, I think it's imperative. And I think this is one area where I think a lot of companies drop the ball, or have opportunity for improvement. You know, something that I always say is that if you can't measure it, you can't track it. And if you can't track it, you can't manage to it. So I think setting goals is very important because I think people always want to know what the expectation is. But also, I think it's important to make sure that that expectation is understood. So if if you give somebody a goal, you know, let's say it's a numbers goal, right, your sales goal for the month or for the year, they need to understand it. You need to translate that into something that they can understand. Um, I think having daily conversations with people and really making sure that they understand what that equates to for the week, what it equates to for the day is really important. Because if I tell you you have to do 300,000 this month, but then I don't talk to you about it again, um, you know, maybe you can map that out yourself, but maybe you can't. So I think checking in with people regularly and saying, okay, you know, Alexis, you need to do 300,000 this month. That equates to X amount of dollars per week, X amount of dollars per day. You know, if you just sell, you know, these 3 products, you're going to make your goal for the day. So just really strive to push those every single day, move those products every single day, and have check-ins with people. You know, I think that's so important to have frequent touch bases, solicit feedback from the team about the goal setting process, and you know, and find out where it is that you're struggling, where it is that you're doing well. You know, I'd love to ask for feedback from people because if there's anything that's going really well or working well for someone, I like to understand how they're doing it and what led to that success so that I can hopefully try to emulate that with other members of the team. And if there's something that you know, isn't going well, I'd like to understand that as well, because then we can try to find a way to turn that around. And you know, and I certainly don't have all the answers, but normally when I have a conversation with somebody and I start asking questions together, we can figure out a solution usually. Lastly, I would say, you know, with goal setting, I think it's really important to show empathy towards people. There's always going to be people who excel at some things and struggle with other things. And you know, when I think about myself, there's you know, there's definitely things that I'm working on. And I think anybody who says that they aren't working on something is you know, should really think about themselves and where they may need improvement. But I think that showing empathy is really important when you are goal setting and having difficult conversations sometimes to just say, you know, listen, I know you're struggling with this at the moment, and that's okay. You know, we all struggle sometimes, but let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's working, what isn't, and let's figure out a path forward to make sure that next month you know, we get you to victory, we get you across that finish line. So I really think that goal setting is imperative, and it's a big part of motivation because I think when people understand what the expectation is and what the company is looking for and what their leadership in the store is looking for, you know, they're going to understand what best in class looks like and what they need to do to, you know, to excel in their role.
Absolutely. And, you know, setting those goals not only helps organize a team and motivates them, but it gives them an idea of the path they need to take to reach those expectations. So it's nice to have those all out on the table in the beginning when you're speaking to your team. So,
Absolutely. Agreed.
all right. So, Jeff, can you tell us about some key best practices for motivating your sales team?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that um, I guess my 4 big takeaways would be number 1, show, don't tell. I think it's really important for leaders to model great behavior. You don't just want to tell people what they should be doing, but you should really show them uh, what best in class looks like. You know, walk the walk. If you ask them to do something with a customer, with you know, an in-store experience or a you know, selling ceremony gesture, make sure that you're also modeling that behavior. Teach the skill to your people. I think being human is really important. You know, it's okay to make mistakes. You know, I learned this early on in my management career. You know, I always thought when I was promoted to a manager that it was important that I never make a mistake or never show or expose my flaws. And I found that when I stopped trying to hide my flaws and when I embraced them and openly communicated what I wasn't good at and areas where I needed work, my team really respected me for that. Because the reality is that nobody is perfect. We're all human. There's all things that, all of us have things that we don't do well and things that we are amazing at. So I think it's important to, use those opportunities where you make mistakes to celebrate them and share them with everybody. And, I always know, like for me, my team always told me that I was too nice. And whenever there was a customer issue, I would always try to make the person happy. I always would genuinely wanted to turn the experience around and make them smile. And sometimes I would accommodate them with things that I knew I probably shouldn't. And even in that moment, I'd be like, this is probably going to backfire in my face, but I'm going to do it anyway just to make them happy. And it usually did at least 80% of the time. And afterwards, I feel like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, but I just wanted to make them happy. Um, but people respected me for that because I always made it known, what didn't work for me, and I'd share it with everybody else, and it was a great opportunity for all of us to learn. So I think embracing your flaws, stop hiding them, and just put them out there, and people are going to respect you for that. I think also it's really important to be your team's biggest, loudest fan. Think about when you were a kid, maybe you played soccer or baseball, and there's always that one parent in the stands that just goes crazy whenever their kid makes a goal or or wins in the game. Be that person for your team. Really encourage them and celebrate them and get excited for them, because I think when somebody feels that they have a person rooting for them, especially when it's one of their leaders, they're going to strive to do well. They're going to give you their best because they know that you're there rooting for them and you believe in them. And I think that's really powerful, and I think that's really important. And lastly, I would say that when your team does win, make sure that the win suits the accomplishment. If the store has a really exemplary month, don't be putting candy in people's lockers. Do something exciting, do something fun for them. Be creative. I know in my last job, whenever we would make our plan, we'd go out for a team outing. We'd maybe go to a restaurant or go bowling or do something fun. And I think as long as you have the budget for it, it's a really great way to build camaraderie amongst the team. And if you don't have the budget for it, there's lots of ways you can celebrate in the store. But I think it's important to be creative and just do things that excite people, do things that are unexpected, and so that when they do come to work, they feel appreciated. So I would say those would be my 4 best practices. Show, don't tell, be human, be your team's loudest fan or biggest advocate, and making sure that the celebration suits the win.
Absolutely. I mean, just overall, based on this entire conversation, I think it's just important to make sure that you're facilitating a positive and respectful work environment for everyone. What you give to them is what they're going to give back to you. So it's important just to have that mutual respect and have an environment where everybody feels comfortable, and the motivation will come from that.
Absolutely. And I think really the overall message of how to motivate your team, if I had to describe it in one word, it's love. It really is. I think that when you love your team, when you love your people, there's very little that can go wrong. And I think as a leader, it's not enough for you to love your job and love your company, but you need to surround yourself with love, and you need to make other people feel loved. And it's a word that we don't use often enough in business, but I think it's a word that we should use more, because I really feel that when you love what you do, when you love your people, and when you make people feel loved, and show them love and lead with your heart, you're going to get the best result from your people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jeff. Now we're going to go ahead and move on. We'll give you guys some time to ask any questions in the chat box. So if you have anything, go ahead and drop it there. I see we have one so far. So When I was in business school, our professor in leadership talked about the importance of meaningful work as a source of team motivation. What is meaningful for a sales advisor?
Sure, I think that's a really great question and a really great point. I think it's important to challenge people and give them stretch goals. When people feel that their work isn't challenging, I think they can become complacent. And I can think back to a few examples of team members in my career that were just really, really good at what they did. And I was always finding ways to challenge them. One client advisor in particular, I remember I would just challenge him by finding things in the store that were really difficult to sell, and I would push him to sell them. I would say, you know what, we just got in this mahjong set. It's $25,000, and I bet you can sell it by the end of the week. What do you think? And I would just push him for things like that, and we did that all the time. He sold a pocket watch that was embellished with stones, sold a crocodile winged saddle, just the most interesting things. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was like a game. Whenever he would sell those pieces, he would just light up and come to me and tell me about it. And he was so excited, and I was equally excited for him. But I think making sure that the work is challenging is important. It should still be attainable, so you don't want to give people challenges that are so great that they can't realistically accomplish them. But I think meaningful work is going to be different for different people. So I think you need to find out what motivates your team, which will be different for everyone. For some client advisors, maybe they're really into visuals for the store. Maybe that's something that they're passionate about. Maybe you can partner with your visual merchandising team and maybe put them on a special assignment where they can help with visuals for the store. Maybe somebody else is excited about, I don't know, training, right? Maybe they're really into training. So maybe you can collaborate with the training team and work out some kind of special assignment where they can help with the training resources for the store and, helping to onboard new employees. It's going to vary for everybody. So I think really just figuring out what makes people tick, what gets them excited to come to work. I think that's always a great question to ask people, because that always would help me to better manage my team. Some people are really motivated by money and the numbers in their paychecks. Some people are really motivated by the relationships that they make in the store with their customers. Different people come to work for different reasons. So understanding what motivates them is going to really help you to understand how you can best motivate them as a leader, and ultimately how you can challenge them in creative ways.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great question and response. Thank you, Jeff.
Pleasure.
Do we have any other questions?
I guess everything was clear.
Then I guess we'll go ahead and move right along. I just wanted to go ahead and thank everybody for taking the time to attend our Clienteling 101 today. Our next event is going to be on September 8th at 9 a.m. and we're going to have a special guest. So you're going to receive an email with the recording to this event, as well as a link to our YouTube where you can watch our past few. And then you'll also get a registration link for this next one if you want to join.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jeff. This was a great conversation. As always, I enjoyed talking to you, and thank you, everybody that was able to attend.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.